So NAB just happened a couple weeks ago, and Zhiyun had a lot of neat products, one of which I have right here. This is the Zhiyun Molus B200 cob light. They came out with 4 lights, the B100, 200, the 300, and the 500. So 4 lights that they just came out with. I have the 200. This video is not sponsored by Zhiyun, but they did send me this light. So my goal for today is seeing if this light can replace my trusty Amaran 200D. I've been using that one for the last 2 or 3 years and I love it. But this one is only daylight balanced and this one is bicolored. So we're gonna check it out. We're gonna do 2 things. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do practical applications. I know it does have an app, so we're gonna test out how the app works, if it's seamless. And then the second thing we're gonna be doing is taking a look at the build quality, the power intensity. This is not gonna be a very technical review. It's gonna be very practical, but I do wanna check out how it compares to the light that I've been using for so long that I trust so much. So we're gonna take a look at those things. So let's get into the first part. So the first thing that I did was build a 1 light scene in my kitchen. I set the Zhiyun light outside during a normal overcast day, and it was more than powerful enough to create a look on the inside of the house. Using the app, I was able to easily control the light's temperature and brightness. The light was powerful enough that I only needed the light to be set at 10% output to create this evening look that I was going for. You can see here the other brightnesses and how bright it would have been compared to the natural light that was already coming into my house. My next setup was in the living room at night. I set the light camera left with a softbox and a grid to control the light. I really loved how this shot turned out. I set the light temperature to around 4000 Kelvin, so it's a little warmer than natural daylight to make it mix with the warmer lights that I already had in the scene and making it look like I was being lit by those lights. My third setup was in a real shoot I was doing for a church ad. I was setting up the lights in this auditorium with all the house lights set to 4000 Kelvin that I can't control. Previously, I've struggled to light this room with my other light, which is only daylight balanced, since my background is either way too warm or my face just looks way too blue, and then usually I have to edit it in post to make it match. But with this bicolor light, I could properly set my camera's white balance to match the interior lighting, which is 4000 Kelvin, and then set my Zhiyun light to also match the interior lighting, creating a well-balanced shot, and nothing looks either too orange or too blue. Once again, I only needed a very little output from this light, at around 10%. Any more would have made the lights look way too sourcey or artificial, or made the background way too dark. Here you can see it on and off to see what the light is actually doing in this room. Now, to move on to some of the features, I was very curious at first to see how the brightness compared to my Amaran 200D. I presumed that the Amaran 200D would have been much brighter as it was only a daylight balanced light, and this was a bicolor light, which is typically a little less bright. But I was pleasantly surprised that they matched quite close in brightness at 5600 Kelvin, with the Amaran 200D being only slightly brighter at some of the higher values. I was also really impressed with the app. I've used other apps before, and often connecting can be a challenge, especially when it disconnects during a shoot. This one was quick to reconnect whenever it got disconnected and had a very low latency, similar to my experience with using the Sidus app. The app also has some very helpful presets that I enjoyed playing around with. Now for the build quality, I was amazed at how good it was, especially for the price that it's at. It's priced very comparable to the Amaran series of lights, and the build quality was made from like a strong plastic, and I just really liked the design and the look of it, especially the design of the dials. In my old light, the dial would always fall off, and this was very frustrating. The light has a Bowens mount, which is standard, and great as many of my light modifiers are Bowens mounts. It also includes a rod holder, which is nice since I often use this large parabolic umbrella I have. I also love that this light is able to increase in a smooth curve from 1% all the way to 100%. One last thing that may seem small, but I love so much, is the cable. It's just one long cable without any heavy power adapters like the one on the Amaran lights. This is much nicer than having a heavy power adapter to have to handle or to pack all the time. So in conclusion, I really love the light. I think it'll definitely replace my main light because of the bicolor and because it's just as bright as the Amaran 200D. I think it's a great option for a lot of people, and I'm excited to see what Zhiyun is doing and how they're innovating and making really cool products. So if you're looking for a light that's reasonably priced, you can go ahead and check out the link in the description below where you can go ahead and check those out. And make sure to like this video and subscribe if you guys aren't already. I'll have lots more videos coming up this year. All right, see you guys next time.